Welcome back, everyone, to more wild homeowner association tales. In today's juicy story, an HOA busybody named Linda calls me at 2 a.m., demanding the keys to my private property so she can soak in my jacuzzi. Let's jump right into this insane adventure. This story is called Outrageous HOA Linda Calls Me at 2 a.m. While I'm on vacation. Sometimes, people do things so absurdly illogical that you can't even stay mad. It's not just about laughing at their expense, but the fact that this annoying person, who's been a thorn in your side forever, finally gives you a hilarious tale to tell. Before this fiasco, Linda had been nothing but a nuisance, making me a lifelong HOA neighborhood resident totally get why people despise them. My job relocated me to a new city with a new HOA, and Linda was on the board. The whole crew was a bit too controlling for my taste, obsessed with neighborhood uniformity and cleanliness. They gave me a hard time getting permits for my backyard pool and jacuzzi, but I grew up near the ocean and needed my escape in this landlocked state. Still, I had my privacy from most HOA folks except for two people who made me feel like I was under a microscope at the worst times. My elderly neighbor, Margaret, was a sweet lady I genuinely liked, but her insomnia meant I could be in my backyard at any odd hour and spot her silver hair glowing on her balcony, watching me. It was the only thing about her that drove me nuts. Then there was Linda, who had no excuse for being insufferable. I didn't realize how bad she was until the contractors installing my pool told me she'd swing by almost daily to chat. They assumed we were buddies or even married until I set them straight. Linda somehow knew my work schedule, and when my wife or I dropped each other off at the airport, she'd show up with casseroles on nights my wife was away with her family or on business, insisting I needed it since the woman in my life was often gone. No, she wasn't trying to steal me away, she just seemed stuck in a 1950s fantasy. My wife and I travel a lot for vacations, and we had a trip we'd been dying for. The night before we left, I got paranoid. In the dead of night, when even Margaret's silver hair wasn't on her balcony, I moved my emergency keys. My wife was baffled when I told her, but it was late, so she brushed it off. We flew out the next day, ready for our getaway. We landed in the early afternoon, enjoyed a show, dinner, and some exploring, then crashed early, exhausted. At 2 a.m., my wife shook me awake, grumbling about my phone ringing. I picked up, groggy. Hello. Hi, it's Linda. I'd never given her my number. Linda, how did you? I got it from the HOA records, she said casually, like it wasn't a massive privacy violation. I need to know where your emergency keys are. An emergency at 2 a.m.? I asked, still half asleep. This could escalate into an HOA emergency, she huffed, sounding annoyed. I need those keys now. What's the emergency? I pressed, trying to clear my head. That's not important, she snapped. I need the keys first, then I'll explain. The only thing that urgent would be someone drowning in my pool. Is that it? Is someone in trouble? She didn't sound panicked, just irritated. No, she scoffed. I wouldn't waste your time if someone was drowning. It takes you days to answer a simple question anyway. No need to get snippy, I shot back. If you can't explain, you're not getting the keys. You don't want to play this game, she warned. If I need them bad enough, I'll break in. I've got plenty of HOA years on my side, I can spin this against you. Are you threatening me? After a pause, she spat, selfish jerk, and hung up. I tried to sleep, but then came a barrage of texts and a call I ignored, ending in a voicemail full of insults about how stingy and disruptive I was. Apparently, I'd moved in to ruin her peace. I set my phone to vibrate, gave up on sleep, and then it rang again. This time, it was Margaret, not Linda. Another sleepless night for her, and now me. Hello? I groaned. Well, your generation's TV is dull, but you're keeping me entertained, Margaret chuckled. I grinned. She reminded me of my grandma. Hollywood's got nothing on the comedy, I just watched Linda pull in your backyard. Wait, what? Margaret spilled the tea. A restless night and some voices drew her to her balcony, where she saw Linda in my yard with a guy she initially thought was Linda's husband, Tom. My gate was wide open. Later, she saw the lock was smashed. The pair was by the jacuzzi's control box, bashing it with a rock. They didn't even hit the lock, just the back, where the circuits were. Margaret started recording just as the guy yelled, "Damn," and tossed the box into the pool. That's when she realized it wasn't Tom. Their fumbling triggered my patio light, which flickered like a strobe before blowing out. In the dark, Linda's voice rose, furious. Margaret caught her saying, "I just wanted a night for us. clearly not meant for Tom. The old lady was low VYing the drama. The couple tried the jacuzzi anyway, but Linda kicked the cold water in a rage. The guy led her to my patio furniture, where she smashed my flower pots in a full-on tantrum. "Oh, the cops are here," Margaret exclaimed. "They didn't think anyone saw." "What's happening now?" I asked. Margaret described Linda's frantic attempt to hide her partner, telling him to hold his breath in the jacuzzi when breaking my back door proved too hard. It didn't work. He burst out of the water right in front of two cops, making it a hilarious bust. I wish Margaret's VY Deo caught their faces. I didn't want to cut my vacation short, so I called a buddy, told him the new key spot, and asked him to check the damage and help the police. When we got back, I pressed charges. Margaret's footage and witnesses forced Linda to pay for everything: jacuzzi repairs, patio stuff, even our flight home, like it ruined our trip. The legal hassle was a chore, but satisfying. Even better? Tom dumped Linda's stuff on their lawn with price tags for a yard sale, ignoring her sobbing pleas. She tried sitting in the yard to protest, but gave up fast, hauled her stuff away in a U-Haul, and vanished. I'm still collecting her money, hoping her next HOA doesn't fall for her act. I feel for anyone stuck with a board that treats your stuff like it's theirs. Next up, am I the jerk for flying a pirate flag after my HOA fined me for a flagpole I didn't install? 6 months ago, my wife and I bought our first house, a modest 3-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood after years in apartments. The previous owner left some stuff: garage shelves, a fire pit, and a 20-foot flagpole out front. I didn't think much of it. Maybe I'd fly an American or state flag eventually. 3 weeks in, I found an HOA notice in our mailbox. Not a welcome letter, but a violation: non-conforming flagpole height. Max allowed, 15 feet. Current, 20 feet. Fine, due law 150. Fix within 30 days. I was floored. We didn't install it, it came with the house. This is nuts, I told my wife, handing her the letter. She frowned. Didn't the inspection catch this? Apparently not, I said. Maybe the last owner had a pass. I'm not paying for this. I called the HOA the next day. After 20 minutes on hold, a bored woman answered. "Hi, I just moved in and got a violation for a flagpole that was here when I bought the house. Can we fix this?" "Address?" she droned. I gave it. "Yes, that property has a violation. Oversized flagpole. Due law 150 fine. But I didn't install it," I said. "Shouldn't the previous owner pay?" "The violation stays with the property," she replied. "You bought it, it's yours." Was this disclosed? I saw nothing. That's between you, the seller, and your agent. We don't handle disclosures. I took a breath. "Look, I'm new here. Can you waive the fine? I'll fix it. No exceptions. Rules apply to all. Can I appeal?" "Right to the board. Next meeting's in 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Ridiculous. Can I talk to the president?" "All appeals go through channels." Click. I was leave-UID. My real estate agent was shocked too. "No flagpole issues in the disclosures," she said. 2 days later, she called back. "The seller never got a noticer, says he didn't. He's moved cross-country and won't deal with it." Great. I was stuck with a due law 150 fine for nothing. It wasn't just the CAS, it was the unfairness. I wrote a polite letter to the HOA board, explaining I was a new owner stuck with this mess, attaching closing docs. 3 weeks later, appeal denied. Pay now. Due law 25 weekly fines until fixed. That's when I knew this HOA was ruthless. Fixing the pole? Cheapest quote was due law 600. Removal? Due law 400. My wife suggested paying and Leah VYing it, but the fines would pile up. "Can we remove it entirely?" she asked. The rules allowed flagpoles just not over 15 feet. But that felt like surrender. Our neighbor, chatting over the fence, laughed when I mentioned it. They're notorious measuring grass and paint shades. They fined me for Christmas lights up till January 3rd. Rules say January 2nd. He said board meetings were sparse, same few people ruling. Most just paid fines to avoid the fight. That fueled me more. I hit the hardware store and bought a giant pirate flag skull and crossbones, the works. My wife smirked. "You sure? Guidelines don't specify flag types," I said. I checked. "Poking the bear," she warned. Worth it. Next morning, I raised that pirate flag on the 20-foot pole. It was epic, black fabric flapping, the Seibel blocks away. Within 24 hours, The HOA president, stiff as a board, showed up. Your display of OLAT's guidelines, he said, handing me a letter citing neighborhood aesthetics. Funny, I said, reading it. Nothing bans pirate flags. It's implied, he snapped. So a sports flag some hate is fine, but this isn't? It's inappropriate. Says who? My kids love pirates. Big MOVY franchise too. He wasn't laughing. Fines $250. 250. Remove pole and flag in 48 hours. $250? 250? It was $150. 150. Separate violation, he said smugly. So, if I shorten it to 15 feet, the flag's still a problem? Yes. We interpret the rules. Convenient, I muttered. After he left, I dug in. State law protected certain flags but not pirates. Online, neighbors griped about random fines. I made a spreadsheet. My case, HOA chats, vague rules, state laws. I snapped pics of ignored violations, overgrown lawns, band hoops. Then I mailed every neighbor, detailing my fight, and inviting them to the next meeting. Record turnout. Half the neighborhood showed, airing grievances. $300 for a wrong fence shade, one said. Fine for chalk drawings, a mom scoffed. The board, stunned, agreed to rethink enforcement and waive my fine if I'd help review ISE rules. I did join a committee, made clear guidelines with fair processes. I took down the pirate flag after a few weeks good faith but fly it for Halloween now. Neighborhood joke. Am I the jerk? Comments. One said I tanked home values with my Disney stunt. Another cheered my revenge. A third called us all nuts. What do you think? Last story from Petty Revenge. My sister-in-law, Tara, a petty narcissist with BPD, tried dumping her 7-year-old on us to work on herself with a kid-hating boyfriend. We said we'd help, but needed the dad's okay. She flipped. Apparently, she'd spent years alienating him. She cut us off. Days later, my husband asked for our Netflix password for her. I changed it to FCKYU Tara. Petty? Yes. Satisfying? Absolutely. Hope you enjoyed these. Subscribe, and see you tomorrow.